Don't believe the church and state and everything they tell you.
Shalom, this is Yoshua Oliver. So I posted today an image with two options for a solution for the lockdown dilemma that many people have. And it is to divide up the people into those who are afraid and those who are not afraid. People will have the freedom to choose. We are pro-choice. Those who are afraid can stay home. They can video conference. They can order curbside or delivery. And they can wear a mask and gloves and a hazmat suit. They're free to be as paranoid, as naively believing of the government narrative as they choose. But those who are not afraid, those who do not believe in government narrative or believe that it's greatly exaggerated, so they should be free to go to work, to go to school, to shop at stores, to eat at restaurants, to go and worship at their place of worship, to travel, to go on vacation, to go to ball games, to go fishing, to go swimming, to take their kids to the parks, and to enjoy life. They are entitled to take the risk as they see it. If they believe that it's a low risk or that it's a reasonable risk, they are making their own calculated risk based on their own personal assessment of the situation. So each individual is entitled to assess the situation, assess all the information that we're getting from all kinds of various sources, from first-hand accounts, from statisticians, epidemiologists, professors, doctors, nurses, all kinds of information, and not be chained, not be obligated to obey the official government narrative. We can choose whether we want to accept the official government narrative, which has been changing over time, but still the basic narrative that we're at great risk, or they want to accept the words of people critiquing the official government narrative for whatever reason, which we won't get into, and who choose to make what they believe is the calculated risk based on their opinion that the danger is really not at all what it was made out to be when we were first told to submit to these lockdowns. So to sum it up, the solution is freedom. The problem is that many people are really, really traumatized. So even when you tell them that it's safe to come out and that they should be entitled to make that choice, they're very reluctant to do so. In particular, we have here, I'm just going to read out a comment that I got. I appreciate the spirit of this post and your attitude in general. I really like to feel safe getting back to more extended movement, but I can't imagine feeling comfortable going out to eat once restaurants open here again. So people are afraid to come out, to emerge from this time warp, this alternate reality that we've been in, because we've been hammered constantly with this fear propaganda. There's a plague. People are dying. And yes, there are some people dying. The question is, what is the cause of the death? Is it because of COVID-19? Is it because they weren't being given a treatment that has been shown to be effective for COVID-19? So therefore, the issue is not the disease itself. Is it because they were had a DNR, do not resuscitate order in the hospital? Is it because they were intubated by default in the hospital, which intubation is an extremely high risk procedure? What is the cause of the deaths? That's a separate discussion. The point here is that we've been hammered with death, 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 danger, danger, danger. We have to view everyone, every single other person is a risk to your life. He's an asymptomatic carrier. Anybody, if you come near anybody, you could suffer a painful death. Everybody, even if they're not sick, is in danger of killing you simply by being near you. Just unbelievable lies, complete lies. But when you're hearing it from every direction, even though you're doubting it and you're not quite sure about it, and you know that even officially it's admitted that they don't really know what's going on, and that this is just what they think, and that what they think could be the case, and what they think could happen if we're not more careful, if we don't obey whatever they say, their severe measures. Even if you're skeptical of the official narrative, it's very hard to break free from it. Why? Because we are so susceptible to our environment, and we're susceptible to the messages that we get from the government and from the media and from society, from the community, who largely accept the official narrative on anything, really, except something that we're officially, in disagreement with. So obviously, if we're Orthodox Jews, then if the official narrative is, I don't know, the theory of evolution, well, we don't accept that, or what have you. But in terms of things that are related to policies of what we should do in times of distress, war, and in this case, supposed danger from a pandemic, which is really a plandemic, scamdemic. So people are extremely susceptible to what they're told by official sources, and they're even susceptible when they should otherwise have reason to be more skeptical. So here we are being bombarded for week after week in a state of isolation, in which we're very susceptible to suggestion, with this constant trauma-based mind control. Every other person is a danger to your life, or you, by coming close to any other person, could endanger their life. Unbelievable. What a traumatic message to receive, and to actually believe, or even partly believe, to believe that it might be true. This is what we're grappling with now when we consider coming out of the lockdowns. Society will not return to normal because we are so traumatized by this evil, deceptive message. The solution to this is to expose the lie, expose that this was a planned event, expose that the entire purpose of it is to instill fear. to make us afraid of one another, to divide us, divide and conquer. United we stand, divided we fall. When we understand that this is a calculated, planned, staged event for the sake of mass mind control, when we understand that we're being lied to, these projections were blatant lies. Neil Ferguson works for Bill Gates. Bill Gates has an agenda to introduce a universally mandated vaccine so he can become filthy rich and so that he can fulfill his evil agenda of depopulation or whatever it is. It's certainly bad news. So once we learn about Agenda 201, which was a simulation in which world leaders gathered in last year in November of 2019 and essentially prepared for this event. And in the simulation, they spoke about a pandemic that would be a kind of coronavirus. And it played out in great detail. And all those just as predicted in that conference. And all those videos from that conference are still up on YouTube. And they claim that it was just a coincidence that it worked out that way. And, it was a very prophetic of them. Yeah. In any case, once you see through the lies and you understand that there's an agenda to deceive you, to scare you, so you will comply, so you will not think critically, so you will give in to their demands, you will subject yourself to testing, which could contain, they could be gathering your DNA, they could be inserting HIV into you, inserting coronavirus into you, and they could even be inserting the vaccine into you during the test, so that you'll be submit to all these deprivations of your freedom, so that you'll submit to the lockdowns, so that you'll submit to losing your job and your life savings, so that you'll submit to social isolation, not being able to connect with friends and family outside your immediate house, so that ultimately you'll submit to blood tests to get on a plane or just to go to work, whatever test it may be. And of course, ultimately, the end game of this event, the vaccine that will also very likely contain a microchip or a tattoo, digital certificate that will really mark us as slaves. Once you understand the entire purpose, the entire agenda of all this propaganda is to scare you, that's the key to overcoming the fear. Like it says here, I really like to feel safe getting back to more extended movement. I can't imagine feeling comfortable going out to eat once restaurants open here again. We are traumatized. We need to break free of that trauma, that PTSD. We all need therapists or something. The therapy is to realize that you're being played and hammer it into your head. The entire purpose of what they're doing is so that you will feel fear. Once you understand that, then that's the key to overcoming the fear and to not falling for any of the lies. Anything that they tell you should know it's the exact opposite of the truth. If they tell you asymptomatic carrier, you should know that it's nothing to worry about, asymptomatic carrier. If they tell you social distancing is necessary, don't worry. social distancing is completely unnecessary. Go up to your mate, shake his hand, give him a hug. Don't worry. Don't worry. You have nothing to fear. Last year there were viruses. This year there are viruses. There's no difference. And even older people should not be afraid of younger people. Invite them over, bring over your grandchild, give him or her a hug. The most unhealthy thing is for older people is feeling isolated. This is in fact an agenda against the elderly. They want to cull the elderly. How? By isolating them. Older people already naturally feel detached from the younger generation, that the younger people may not care about them enough, and they feel left behind. And that in fact affects their longevity. So the best thing for older people, younger people, visit them and spend time with them. It's an extremely worthy thing to do. That's the best thing for their health. It is just not true. It is just a lie that if you care about an older person, you will not visit them. And video conference technology is not enough. It just doesn't cut it. People need face-to-face interaction. We're social beings. Our social needs are not fulfilled simply, cannot be fulfilled only through contact via electronics. That's all very well if that's what you have, but it's just not sufficient. The person is left feeling unsatisfied, feeling that he's not getting the social interaction that he needs. Maybe different people to different degrees. Some people are more extroverted than others, but ultimately everyone needs it, and especially older people need this kind of interaction and involvement in society. People need to be able to go to shul, to the synagogue, to public places, and the key to overcoming the fear is to understanding that we've been sold a phony paradigm, all based on these projections that have been proven false. They were, in the first place, exaggerated wildly. And this guy, Neil Ferguson, he had a record of wild exaggerations. He made many doomsday predictions in the past that were completely unfulfilled. And yet he still has his position and his predictions are still taken seriously. That just goes to show you, number one, how academia is filled with corruption and malpractice. The fact that he could have gotten away with that, with continuing to have his license to practice in his position after so many people suffered because of his past predictions. And that his word is taken so seriously, just simply because he's at his position for all this time, that must already prove that he's, some kind of master prophet. And therefore, people don't even think to research his record. In any case, the fact is the prediction was proven completely false. He said there would be these mass deaths. People would get it. They would very likely die. And it would just spread like wildfire. Many people saying that it has spread. But people mostly got mild symptoms, or they could have gotten it with no symptoms. which means that, of course, the death rate is extremely, extremely low, which means that there's nothing to worry about. It's not different from the yearly flu, and therefore we should ignore all the propaganda. It's all fear-based propaganda. It's all political. It's being done in order to control us, mind control. Once you know that you're a victim of a sophisticated mind control operation, you know not to believe anything you're told. And so therefore, go to restaurants. Don't be afraid. Fear is, they're trying to use fear to control us. You have to reject the whole paradigm. It was all a lie. It was all a lie. There's a global agenda. And at least on the personal level, we don't have control over these necessarily, over these large scale events or to change things on a large scale. Each person should do his or her part, but at least on a personal level, have no fear. They want you to be afraid, so that's the very best reason that you should not fall for their lies, not allow yourself to fall into fear and inaction. God bless.